Again. Ours is not to question why, ours is but to do or die. It's catchy, it's pithy, it's just categorically wrong. It's wrong because, number one, suicide missions aren't a, let's say, legitimate military order, so it's not our duty to die. Also, ours is not to question why. Yes, it is. The question why is a critical component of commander's intent. Commander's intent is exactly how the mission is supposed to go according to the commander. Okay, I like telling this story because it's one of those war stories that makes me look like the good guy, and who doesn't like to be the hero of the story? So, when I was teaching the U.S. Army's human terrain systems at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, way back in the day, I was trying to convey to a room of 40 professionals, military personnel, and anthropologists, scientists, you name it, who were going away on, they were deploying to Afghanistan and Iraq at the time. I was conveying commander's intent. And coming at this from an NCO's perspective, I used the old adage that if 24 hours later your corporal cannot remember your commander's intent, essentially verbatim, then you don't have a commander's intent. Well, there was a great outcry from the students in that class, let's say, and and I understood. It's not that I wasn't sympathetic to their point, but their point was, hey, that's great, Chris, but we work on staffs at battalion and brigade level, so no way. A commander's intent is typically 1 to 3 pages, potentially longer, because it has to issue intent to all these various teams and everything else. It's great, your old school of the infantry, if a corporal can't remember it, you didn't give a commander's intent sort of thing. Really only works down at a company and below level, and so, yeah, doesn't apply up here. And little did I know, I disagree, I fundamentally disagree with that, but little did I know that General Roger Ward had stepped into the class behind me in the doorway and had listened to the conversation for a while. He pipes up and says, okay, that's a fair argument. I've heard everything said, but I'm going to tell you from my perspective, I'm going to agree with the young sergeant here. And so, yay, win one. You don't win them all, but you win one once in a while. General Ward proceeds to tell a story that I was not aware of, to be honest. I had to go look it up. But he said, who can tell me Eisenhower's commander's intent to the airborne forces going over for the invasion of D-Day, Normandy? And of course everybody's quiet. And he says, well, I'll not only tell you what it is, he said, but I'll point out that this is 18 words. 18 words. And we had not even at the time, keep in mind, we had not codified in 1944. I don't think it was codified until the very, very end of the 1970s. So, wow, 35 years later, yet Eisenhower's words to the invading forces are amazing. They are: secure the bridges, road junctions, and towns in Normandy to allow the ground invasion forces to advance inland. 18 words. To the, 20,000 airborne forces jumping in ahead of a invasion force of 250,000 people. So General Ward then said, tell you what, guys, here's the thing. I hear you, you're leading battalions, you're working with brigades, 3,500, 5,000 man brigade. When you guys get over 250,000, you have my permission to add a 19th word. Now he's having some fun. Everybody had a laugh. They got it. The point here is that a commander's intent really has to cover several critical elements: purpose, key tasks, and end state. Your purpose, your key task, your end state. And there's an art form here. What does each mean? Well, your purpose is the reason why you are doing this. Why are we doing it? Why is it important? And you don't have much space to explain it. But nonetheless, when you give a commander's intent, your warriors better understand why this is important. It goes far more than just merely motivating them. It tells them what their left and right limits are, how far they can advance. Your purpose statement is critical here. So we do ask why. The next thing is key tasks. This is woefully misunderstood. people hear the word task, and a task is take the hammer, Bill, and nail all these nails into the bridge by 2 p.m. this afternoon. That's a task, right? I told Bill to do it. I told him what tools to use, the hammer and nails, and I told him a deadline when I need to have it done. Yes, that's why we don't say tasks, because all of those are true for a task. This is key tasks. And I wish they hadn't even used the word task, because what they really mean are key conditions for our success. What are the key conditions for our success? And you know you're explaining or describing conditions when you don't assign it to a person by name. No name is attached. You don't tell them what tools they're going to use. What? Hammer and nails? No hammer? No, that's assigned to a task. This is a condition. So I don't tell who's going to do the task. I don't tell you what tools you're going to use. And I don't tell you when. I don't set a defined time on the clock. Key conditions say we have to wait till night. We must cross the river. When the enemy's defenses start to fail, that's a condition. And so these are key conditions that we're looking for in our key tasks. Purpose is why we're doing this. Key tasks are the conditions that will lead to our success. And the last is, what will that success look like? The end state. Those are the three components of commander's intent. Again, this is codified, I want to say 78, 79 time period, and really taught in the United States Army really heavily in the early 1980s. It was like, proliferated throughout the military. And so Eisenhower is using this, and I'll be darned if he doesn't get all three of them. That's just how brilliant that brief commander's intent was. And let's take a look at this, all right? Our reason for being. What is our purpose? It says we want to allow ground invasion forces. We want to allow them. Our whole purpose is to support the ground invasion forces coming to the beach the very next morning. Well, that's the purpose. What are the key tasks then? What are the conditions? Well, he says you got to secure bridges, road junctions, and towns. Why? Those are population centers. That's where the enemy can put up its greatest fight. And our ground forces need those access points. That's how we're going to have an invasion inland, is those key access points. So we have to secure them, seize them, take them, hold them. That is the key tasks to allow the ground force invasion. And that's our purpose. So what's the end state? The ground forces advance inland. That's the whole point. These are paratroopers. The ground forces have to get past you in their invasion. That's the end state. Purpose, key tasks, end state. That's commander's intent. Sounds pretty simple, right? It's not. And what's even more difficult is getting that down to just the minimum amount of words. Look what you don't see. You don't see adverbs. Oh, we love adverbs in the military. Everybody loves an adverb. Not secure. No. Properly seize. Properly. To allow the ground forces to advance, victoriously. We need adjectives and we need adverbs in here. No, you don't. That's just nonsense. It's absolute fluff, and it stops people from remembering what the heck is it that we're doing here. And I've seen this time and time again. Let's practice a little bit. You're on a boat. You're on a deep sea fishing. That's it. You're on a little fishing trawler, you and your buddies. There's 4 of you. You're out deep sea fishing. It's a great day. You go out to this spot. It's beautiful. It's sunshine and everything else. You got to the spot. There's a two-man crew. There's the skipper and his first mate, and the 4 of you. You've got coolers of, soda and sandwiches and beer, and you're ready for the whole thing. You get out there. Something happens to the engine. You look. The ship is flooding. You see it. You can see that less than a quarter mile away, there's some little island-looking thing there. I can see water's filling the bottom part of the ship. The boat, Skipper's doing what the skipper's trying to do. First mate's doing what the first mate's trying to do. They're trying to save the ship. But it's pretty clear to you, looking at the flow of the water, you're going, whoa. In the next couple or few minutes, 2-3 minutes tops, this boat is going to be sitting at the bottom of this ocean. You turn to your mates and you say, quick. What do you say? Go ahead and stop the video right here. Grab a pen and paper. Take a couple minutes. Craft a commander's intent to your buddies. Don't worry about the crew. Let them worry about themselves. This is you saying, man, I'm taking charge. Craft a commander's intent to save yourselves, right? What are you going to say to your buddies? I want you to stop, take a couple of minutes, write it down, and then once you write it down, take another minute to make it shorter. Let's see how short you get it. How'd you do? Of course, you know what you wrote and I don't. But let me share with you what I wrote in the same time. I just literally took 2 minutes and this is what I came up with. The ship is sinking. Grab any means to survive and let's get to that shore. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 words. The ship is sinking. Grab any means to survive and let's get to that shore. Purpose, key tasks, and end state. The ship is sinking tells us our purpose. It's implied in there, but that you understand it. The ship is sinking. Key task, grab any means to survive. Food, water, fire, first aid, flotation, whatever we need to survive. And let's get to that shore. Our next, that is end state, is us on that shore. Whether we do that in a drowning boat, whether we do that by swimming, I'm not telling you how. And notice I didn't name anybody's name. And notice that I didn't give them a time. Because I don't know if we have 2 minutes or we have 18 minutes. So there you go. The ship is sinking. Grab any means to survive and let's get to that shore. I don't know how you did, but could we shorten that more? Probably could. I did it real quick. I was like, oh, a couple of frivolous things I put in there. I started to list all of the survival equipment I wanted them to get, but I realized I don't need to do that. These are smart human beings. These are my buddies. They know what they need to survive. And I've described the situation well enough. This is what's so important about commander's intent. Commander's intent allows them to understand your intent as a leader, but more so it says, okay, if the plan, not commander's intent, if the plan isn't possible, how do I make this work anyway? The reason I didn't say, grab the first aid kit. What if there isn't one? Grab something that looks like a first aid kit. Grab something that you could improvise a first aid kit. I didn't say grab fire. How will we build a fire? I said grab survival. I didn't say grab pyrotechnic and signaling in case a helicopter rescue comes, because that's a plan. And had I had time to write out a plan, an operations order, you're darn straight I would have said grab this, grab that, grab this, grab that. In execution paragraph, I would have said this is the execution, and I would have talked about that. I would have said, in the administrative and support paragraph, I would have said, hey, and here's everything where it can be found on this boat. But that's the plan. What happens if the plan isn't there? They run down to grab water and go, oh my gosh, we didn't bring anything but beer. Oh, but we do have this salination kit. Yeah, right. This is the point. Or maybe there's fresh water on the island. How do we know? This isn't the point. The point is that if the plan is no longer doable as conceived, which by the way, happens almost every single time, then the commander's intent empowers your subordinates to literally ignore your order, to literally refuse your command and say, nope, that's not possible the way he envisioned it, but I know what his intent was, and as long as I'm true to that intent, I can still make this happen. Let's talk about how incredibly powerful this is, to the point where it's misunderstood by civilians to mean fanaticism. So, as Berlin begins to fall, and the Soviets are overrunning the city, and the German army is trapped, what people couldn't understand, and what historians to this day don't understand. They say, look at the fanaticism of the Wehrmacht, look at the fanaticism of the Nazis. They didn't give up even till they were dead. Yeah, that's one way to look at it. I'd say that the Wehrmacht had, because of all of their Prussian professionalism, had already really instituted the notion of commander's intent. And when all of the commanders started to die, the plan was still being executed, even though it was no longer feasible. Those lieutenants and captains, those sergeants and corporals were able to say, yes, but I know the commander's intent. So the commander's dead, and the mission isn't feasible as planned, but I still know how to achieve success. And that's what was going on. The safety catch in the system, which is commander's intent, was well placed and well executed. And to everyone else, all of the allies and historians today, they look at those soldiers and they say, they were fanatical. No, not at all. They were professional. And that's how powerful commander's intent is. And it's why it is so critical. Brevity is so remarkably critical, because you must be able to recall the commander's intent 24 hours from now. That's it. Commander's intent. Purpose, key tasks, end state. Put it together into 1 to 3 sentences. Keep it very, very brief. Thank you.